Hello and welcome to Tower. It's a breaking news video, my first that I've been able to do. And the news of the day is that Iconic RC, run by John Weston, and I know a band of other people who give him great assistance along the way. They have just released the 2026 Revival rules, the first iteration thereof. And this year there's a bit of a shake-up. So Revival's been going 11 years. It's had a huge success and raised a lot of money for charity. But there have been other events that have had some success by being related to the Iconic rules and then running a slight variant thereof. One of the ones that I went at last year was running at Eden Park Raceway, and they shuffled up the categories quite a lot. They ran Iconic rules and year groups for the heats, and then sorted and seeded for the finals purely based off time. And so what that meant was the finals ended up being really, really close racing. And I think the feedback from that is something that John is keen to capitalise on and make sure that Iconic gives close racing, gives a huge distribution of different cars being run, and really making sure that those are as competitive as they can be and give everybody a fair crack. And basically limit it from turning into, whatever the fastest car in any age group is, being supremely dominant and reduced to just running those cars. So with that said, the big change for Iconic is to no longer be strictly constrained by the years, and we'll see what that means in a moment. I think as I go through what the new categories are, you'll see that they're broadly similar to the years. I mean, the performance of cars is somewhat age related, but there's some interesting variations in there. I'll run through what I see on my laptop, and I'll make sure I put them on screen in a more visible form. Anything interesting that I see, I know a lot of racers are busy scouring for where their cars fit, what they might see as niches and loopholes. I haven't checked with John about the finality of these. I do understand that they are expecting to make adjustments to the categories, I guess, as time goes on, maybe before the season starts, maybe as we go through, to try and rebalance it and make sure that the overall aim of keeping things competitive and distribution of cars, make sure that's maintained. And I fully welcome that as an approach. I think it's really good to see. I've got my two cars out here. I'll show you where they fit, and I'll show you why I'm interested in those as I rumble through. So, as I say, up on screen I'll show some of these tables. I'll probably show all the tables, in fact, and work through, and I'll pull out anything I think is interesting. So, we start with Iconic two-wheel drive festival. That's much the same as the old festival class originally. It's things like your grasshoppers, it's things like Tamiya Cheetahs, things like other cars there I probably wouldn't know, but I do know the Elect Peanuts is really basic, so that's it looks all appropriate. The category after that is two-wheel drive Baja. So that's where things of the SRBs, the fighter buggies, come in. Things like Kershaw Turbo Scorpions. The interesting one for me when I look at the list there is to see that the Maxim FF is in the two-wheel drive Baja. Now, the Maxim FF is probably the only front-wheel drive buggy on the entire listing. It's one I was interested in previously. I suspect it's not that special as a two-wheel drive racer, unless it gets wet. And if the track is wet and muddy, that's probably a couple of classes above anything else. So that's an interesting one to find on the list at that particular point. Above that we get to two-wheel drive sprint. So we see things like the Falcon and the Striker and the Sonic Fighter. I did see a Sonic Fighter going great guns around Oswestry Revival this year. Other things there, the beginnings of the Ultimas. I don't believe it includes the JJ, but I could be mistaken. And the low end, the Top Cat and the original RC10s. Two-wheel drive Viper is where you see some of the other cars coming, most of the Ultima range. JJ is here in the two-wheel drive Viper, along with the original Cougars and the Club 10 Cougar. Some of the RC10s, so I guess the short arm RC10s. And for me it's interesting because this is where the Madcap ends up, and you'll see why I mean, that looks about right for a Madcap. It looks like it should be there in amongst things like the JJ and the original Cougar. That naively seems correct. The Bearhawk is an odd one because the Bearhawk is halfway between a Falcon and a Madcap. So it's a mix. Fine, it can go wherever. I don't know that there's that many people running them. Two-wheel drive Titan is the top end of two-wheel drive, and for me that's where you see the astute and super astute racing against things like the Fireblades and the long arm RC10s, etc. Now I guess that's accurate because you look at Lee Broadhurst, you look at Jamie Booth, they are doing great things with their I guess Lee Broadhurst long wheelbase astute based off what Jamie Booth used to run way back in the day. It's probably accurate. It's disappointing for me because my alleged Madcap really is an astute, and that means I'd be in the top class of racing, and yeah, I'll struggle, but I struggle anyway. I'm not going to rumble through trucks. If there's anything that you see there of any note, then great. Let me know in the comments if there's something you're excited about. So moving on to four-wheel drive, you've hopefully seen on my channel I've got a Kyosho Progress that I have built up specifically for racing at things like Revival. Yes, it's in the base category, it always was. It used to be that this was two separate categories, one for 84, 85 and one for 86, 87. And those have been merged into one basically. I suspect there's not an awful lot between any of these monoshock front end cars. Primarily this is monoshock land. What's important for me is the Yukaimo 834B is in that same group because my Progress has got 834B hubs. So that keeps it all legal and age specific, so should be good. Four-wheel drive Baja, so we start seeing the Tamis of that group that have got separate front shocks. This is where the Optimas and Javelins come in, so that's to be expected. It's interesting to see that the original short wheelbase Optima Mid is in that category, and when I look at the list of cars available on that four-wheel drive Baja list, the Optima Mid looks like the one for me. Now, counter to that is most of the people running Optima Mids I see running the long wheelbase. So this is probably quite good for keeping a mix of short wheelbase ones around and alive. That's good to see. Four-wheel drive Sprint. So Thundershots are up here in this category, and it's like, well, they'd be run rings by an Optima Mid. This is where we see the Avanti come in. My Avanti I broke a front arm on. I'll have a video of that somewhere along the way. I broke a front arm on the Avanti, and it's just getting too expensive replacing the arms on the, even though it's replacing the arms, it's just getting expensive. I'm switching to Vanquish arms, and if they're in the same category, that makes it a lot easier about compatibility and legality of racing. And the Optima Mid long wheelbase is listed there. I did go and look this up because I was intrigued about what the specification was about a long wheelbase. The TOMS, the Turbo Optima Mid Special, is 273 millimeters, so that's presumably why this is so precisely categorized as to what it is. I guess 255 is the original short wheelbase, and 273 is the TOMS. And so you'll see the later years, if you go longer than a TOMS, you go into the next category. Whether that gets policed, how accurately that gets policed will be an interesting one. But that's what it is. Moving up to the four-wheel drive Viper. So this is where we see Egress Avanti 2001, along with extra long wheelbase Optima Mids. So some of the ones that are custom done ones. Laser ZX is good. ProCat goes into this Viper class. It may well be that it was in that originally, or the equivalent originally. And the Yukaimos here. Note that the Yukaimos here do not include the trick bits. You'll see that shortly. And it's nice to see that the RC10 four-wheel drive gets a proper place. So I guess by doing away with year groups, you can allow some things like that to say, yeah, fine, you can run an RC10 four-wheel drive. It doesn't actually say on this list re-re eligible. I expect it to suddenly gain the word re-re eligible. Four-wheel drive Titan, so not quite, so this is one level below the very top of the forward drive. So we've got Manta Rays top forces, fine, laser ZXSs, Cat 2000s and Losi triple X4s, and then some collection of Yukomos. It looks about right, but if I look at that, I know the Cat 2000 and triple X4s are going to run rings around the top force. I know Lee Broadhurst Ray's the same. It's like, really, a Manta Ray is supposed to hold it against a triple X4. It's not going to. So we'll see. I appreciate Lee's got something in this game where he really doesn't want to have to mix it with those. I don't know. I don't know relatively how they perform, but I do know a triple X4 is fast. And then if we look at forward drive ultra, we see double X4s are there. I don't understand the Losi naming scheme. I do apologise. But this is where Predators come in, and the Cat 98. And then you see a twiddle here for Yukomo to say the rubrics, the trek bits, those kind of things. So I expect, this is iteration 1 of the document. I expect things to be refined from where they are at the moment. They'll go through the loop a few times, but I think in principle, I think everybody is excited, they're interested. It all looks promising and a good way for Iconic to move forward. So let's see. So in the description below, I'll put the full details of where you can access that information, and hope to see you trackside.